The final weekend of pool play has taken place. We have locked in the pools for 2025 in this World Cup. We were in Exeter. We were sat there, or stood there, I should say, on the terrace in Sandy Park in Exeter, which is in Devon, in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, Northern Ireland, I should say. And first off, right, we were there for Canada versus Scotland.
We were.
And it was a lovely day out.
It was. Yeah, it was good fun. Sun shining in Exeter and a proper rugby ground at Sandy Park. Vibes were good.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I always thought for some reason it was like walking distance to the town centre. No, it's out by an IKEA.
Yeah, very out the way.
Yeah, really, if you want to watch Asia Hogan Rochester or Assemble a Cabinet.
Indeed.
You've got those both options in a couple of minutes walk, so that's really useful.
Yeah, but no, it was good fun game. It's always good fun when we're going to watch Canada play, and it's always quite good fun to go and watch Scotland play. Like two teams that really love to play the ball with skillful forward packs and fast back lines. So it was two relatively similar approaches to the game, if you take away the fact that Canada are like the most innovative team in rugby right now, and Scotland gave them a proper game. Well, Scotland gave them the game that they should have given, a team of their standards should have given. And obviously, it's a bit soon for a dig at Wales, but having seen what Canada did to Wales a week earlier, there's a part of you that wondered, is that just Canada being that level? Yeah. Or, that teams who should compete with them can't? And Scotland did a good job, I thought. It
felt representative of the gap between the two teams, right? Is like Canada are currently the second best team in the world. They're one of those four teams that are like nailed in as that top four up there. Obviously, France's position there is slightly more questionable, but I think over the last 2 weeks they've kind of reasserted themselves a little bit. Scotland are then like at the top end of the other side of that gap, right? They're probably second behind Ireland in that group. With teams like Wales, as you mentioned, dropping down perhaps out of it, replaced by the likes of South Africa. But there is still a gap there, right? And I think what we saw is you compare this to the last time they played, and the scoreline has come down significantly. Scotland have improved, and they have got closer, but they're still not a standard where they are beating them. Yeah. But they are giving them a game. And I think it very much felt like what I sort of expected was Scotland would turn up, Scotland would score a bunch of tries, Scotland would really make them fight for it, but then ultimately Canada would win it in the end, just through sheer talent, grit, and just hanging on and having those kind of core players and having the depth on the bench as well, right? I think when Canada brought their replacements on, all of them just continued the same energy, right? It wasn't like an impact sub situation. It was more like the kind of the traditional Razzie approach of you replace it with someone else who can continue doing the job with the same efficiency they had in the first half.
It's like using your full restore on Pokemon.
Exactly,
isn't it?
exactly.
It's a sense of that, and just right, somebody with energy is going to come on and do pretty much exactly the same job. And as you say, you can boil the Canada team to being 15 people doing the same job.
Yeah, Emily Satosi was exceptional.
Yeah, she was.
Name player of the match for me, complete agreement.
Yeah, I thought she's got that two-shirt back, I think, off Julianne Bogue, who's been on brilliant form.
Well, this was it. Then Julianne Bogue comes on and is just great and does exactly the same job just as well, right? You're like, we've just given this guy player of the match for what she's just done, then you've come on and done exactly the same. Is a really good position for Canada to be in, right? To have two players who are equally efficient, equally good. Totosi has come in and really taken a chance, but if Bogue had started those games, he probably would have been at least to 95% of as good.
Yeah. And it's a brilliant problem to have, isn't it? That no matter what, you're bringing on somebody who will bring a genuine impact off that bench and hold position. But throughout the part, to focus on Canada first, I think, again, you look at that pack and it's just flush with players who had brilliant tournaments. Gabrielle Senft at number 8 has just so impressed me. I just think, in terms of her ball handling and her carrying, she's been exceptional. Yeah. Obviously, Forteza moving to the flank and just done a really good job in that position. Yeah. Uber physical player.
My gut still wants them to be the other way around. But I think Forteza's been excellent. Yeah. I think more because Forteza's that kind of traditional stocky number 8, the kind of
but Senft's an unreal ball carrier. Yeah. So, but the thing is, again, in this Canadian team, you can swap them out any which way. Yeah. You mentioned that Emily Totosi got player of the match there, and I was in agreement. But that's also kind of because that thing when you coach under 10s rugby and you've got one player who's clearly the best player, and you don't want to give Sophie de Goody player of the match every single week because she was simply unbelievable. And firstly, she's a huge ball carrier. She never moves backwards at all. Her goal kicking was exceptional. She's one of the best goal kickers in this tournament, easily. And
There was a moment where there was a lad in front of us who I spoke to. It was like a lovely guy, but I'd never watched women's rugby before. But like Welshman lived in Exeter, was like, yeah, all right, I'll go along, and like loved it and had a great time, and was like really into it. Was saying like, I'll definitely be watching more. Sophie de Goody lined up a shot at goal from the touchline right in front of us, and he was going like, second row's kicking the goals. What's going on? Then she absolutely drilled it. And he was kind of like, fair enough, that'll be why then.
Yeah, no, she's world class at absolutely everything. Yeah. I think looking at, again, Canada's game plan and their obsession with mitigating the ruck and ruck speed, it's kind of, you can boil it a little bit down to Fiji Sevens and the Ben Ryan tactic of keeping the ball off the floor at all times. And we obviously did a video about this at the start of the year in terms of the whole keep the ball alive thing. And Canada taking that to its logical extreme. This try that was scored by Totosi in the end, it's brilliant because Canada go on the outside, Flo Simmons makes the break and gets on the front foot. I really love Justine Peltier's touch on this. Puts a tiny bit of pace on the ball just in one step and lifts it because Leah Brebler-Holland does a brilliant job, makes one tackle, gets back to her feet, makes another. Then Peltier, straight away there again, playing a million miles an hour, gets the ball into Tyson Bukabu, who makes a brilliant carry, gets on the front foot, and crucially, because Scotland are backpedaling, nobody's there to land on her and turn this into a ruck. So what she does is she lifts the ball off the floor. But she doesn't present it back. She just holds it up so De Goody can just take it straight out of her hands, run straight through the middle and offload to Totosi.
So obviously they've got a French coach. That is something we've seen France doing under Galtier over the last few years, the France men. There's a lot of that DNA there, right? Like it feels very French. And I really like this Canada team. We've talked about it a bunch over the last few weeks, but like their reinterpretation of a lot of like French rugby ideas through the lens of women's rugby, and then again through like this kind of outside, like more Northern Hemisphere-esque lens of the way which rugby's traditionally been played in Canada. And so you've come up with this brand new way of playing the game, right? And so often watching Canada feels like someone went away and it evolved completely naturally, separately. Like when you hear about the early like Springbok and All Black teams, right? That like got the rules of the game, went, okay, we play it in this way. And the game became completely different to how it was played in Britain and Ireland, where it kind of evolved naturally over 100 years. Yeah. And Canada feels like the only example of that happening at the minute, like it's completely separate, it's completely different. Though I do want to see Madagascar play more, because I reckon they're probably the same. But you just look across that team and you look across the tries they scored. And again, there was a lot of like, I think we saw them kick more of the ball this week than they have against, Wales and Fiji, where against Fiji, they were in complete control and able to run in tries from pretty much everywhere. Against Wales, they had some moments in the second half where Wales defended very well and Wales did manage to kind of shut them down a little bit, where they did lean on a kicking game a bit more. And with Scotland this being much more even, I think it's really interesting that we've seen the closer the game, the more Canada kick, and the more they bring that into them. And that sounds like an obvious statement to say, obviously, but like when they're a team you think about as being so dynamic and so like attack heavy, and with women's rugby being so built around keeping hold of the ball rather than kicking it, actually seeing Canada are leaning more and more into a kicking game. And you look at like that Ireland game beforehand, and they didn't kick that much ball. Right, when they did, they kicked very long and very low, and I think we saw something similar this week. Right, like they're not hanging many contestables, but they hang a couple over the week, which was interesting because it's something we don't associate with this team at all. But it's still not a major part of their game, a major tactic. But just like, were they trying that out potentially with bigger games lined up? Were they trying that out thinking maybe this can catch the Black Ferns or England off?
I think another part of that is that they probably were quite aware of the fact that the opposition had a fullback like Chloe Rollie, who, for all that she's brilliant at, does overplay a lot of the time. That she is somebody who, like, she is not keen to kick the ball back. She's not keen to just crash it in. She will always try and do something exciting. She always likes to step around and counter-attack and link up and offload and pass to people, whatever, right? She likes to do something flashy. And so giving her loads of opportunities, like, I think live when we were at the game, we saw a few mistakes that Rollie made and potentially overreacting in the moment when Rollie's having a bit of a shocker here. But actually watching the game back, it makes you realise, actually, no, just they involved Rollie so much that she was doing so much. Some of them were brilliant, right? And some of them, by law of averages, were errors.
Exactly. She has 100 touches, right? And she is a player who will go and try and do something with all of them rather than shipping on early contact. So naturally, right, if her average rate is like 80-20 positive to negative, if she's having 100 touches, that becomes there are 20 negative involvements.
100%.
Right?
And she's made, technically, the most errors of any player on the park.
Yeah.
And Canada, because their kick chase is so good, they're so well connected. They've got the likes of Flo Simmons, the likes of Paige Farris is exceptional on the kick chase. Aja Hogan-Rochester, one of the fastest players in this World Cup, that they have players like that can send after Taylor Perry's kicks. It's a really smart game plan to go for against a team like Scotland.
Yeah, there was a bit of me worrying that I've always thought there's like a very clean line between Chloe Rolly and Stuart Hogg as that Scotland fullback of like player who comes through incredibly lively, exciting, good on their feet, can pop up and distribute as well. Then slowly like bulks up and becomes like a carrying threat from the back because it's smashing the ball up from deep. And there was a little bit of me worried seeing her in Exeter and knowing what happened to Stuart Hogg when he moved to Exeter. That was like a worry in the back of my head of like, Chloe, don't go down, don't buy a horse.
Yeah.
Don't buy a horse and don't go to a hairdresser's.
Yeah, she came out at half-time without a mohawk or a mullet. So.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I was thinking her just for other reasons, but that's beside the point. So, you know, I think this was a solid Scotland performance, and it's one that, like, I think it's a good thing for Scotland fans, players, coaches, that they will be disappointed about this. Right?
Yes.
They're like, they will go out there thinking we could have put in more performance against them, and you look at actually how they put in a much stronger case than both Wales and Ireland have over the last few weeks. So, I don't know, like they made Canada with pretty much a full strength team with maybe one or two changes from the team that will likely play next week in the quarterfinals. They made them sweat. Yeah. And I think that's like a real result for Scotland, frustrating as it is, but they were always kind of battling out for second. I think everyone expected Canada to top this group. So Scotland to make them fight for it a little bit and make them kind of like put in a bit of a performance to come away with that bonus point.
Yeah, and to put in that early try for Rona Lloyd as well.
Yeah.
Well, that was really satisfying for them to get on the outside of Canada, because Canada don't concede many tries like that. With Lisa Thompson taking this pass brilliantly, popping it off the floor to Rachel McLaughlin, who's worked round, and then lovely hands, especially by Rolly at the end, to fix her woman and put Rona Lloyd in the corner. It's a really satisfying moment for Bryony.
Probably also a good thing for Canada to have a game where they were forced to work a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we've talked an awful lot about how England are winning every game by huge margins, right? But Canada haven't had a tight game since they played the Black Ferns. Like that's really their only game this year that's been tight.
Yeah.
Like they've battered South Africa, they've battered Wales, they went to Ireland, I think, expecting that game, and they battered them until sort of a late like Anna McGann flourish at the end. So actually a game in which they made to work for it is probably a good thing for them going into these quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So,
and at the same time, it's never a bad thing to be used to winning games convincingly.
Of course,
you know?
of course.
But you are right. It's nice to have a bit of a protocol, a callback where you can go, we closed out that game.
Yeah. Speaking of, I think there's a natural segue here.
Yes.
On to England against Australia.
Yes.
So, fascinating game. This was 7-5 to Australia for a very long time, and this game was tight for quite a while. I think there's been a very odd reaction in the English media. I think some have been, this is a real problem for the Red Roses. Some have been, let's applaud Australia. I can't believe they managed to keep this game tight. Like, what an achievement for this under-12s rugby team. And some have just kind of gone like, who cares? We're playing Scotland in the quarterfinal this week.
Yeah.
And some have just gone, Ellie Kildun's injured, sound the panic alarms.
Yeah. I kind of think all of the above can be true.
I think there's little bits of each, right?
Yes.
I think the real answer is somewhere in the middle of all of
Yeah. A lot of, like every Red Roses fan that I've spoken to has regarded this as like a really terrible performance of theirs, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
If you're John Mitchell, Lou Meadows, right, you're looking at this and going, okay, if that's us at a 5 out of 10, then that's a brilliant
And you win
position to be
by
going
40
into.
against like the number 8 team in the world.
Exactly. Another angle, like, I think a lot of people have discredited Australia massively. Like, they're one of the most entertaining teams in world rugby. And sure, that's looking at their attack rather than defence. Defensively, they're not as good as they are an attacking force, right? Like, that's an entirely fair thing. But also, like, they are a brilliant international rugby team. I just think it's a bit patronising to go, oh, well, they managed to hold the Red Roses to one try for 30-odd minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, they're good enough that you should expect that of them, I think. Wally certainly agrees with that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, regardless, again, for the Red Roses to come away from a 40-point win and that be a poor performance says everything about where this team
Think
are.
about how tight it was in the quarterfinals of the last World Cup. Yeah. Obviously the conditions dictated a bit of that, but that game was like 17-7, like in the later stages. Like it was really close. And the Wallaroos turned up knowing they know how to shut down England. And this was, and in some ways it's a patronising thing to say, but maybe the best performance of a team knowing how to prevent England playing. I've seen in quite some time. That what they did wasn't necessarily looking to win the game, it was to stop England winning the game. And you might view that as negative, but I think actually, when you're up against a juggernaut like that, it is kind of your best hope.
Especially
right?
with the points difference scenario.
Yeah, exactly. So the points difference scenario, that's in the background of all of this. But in order to beat the Red Roses, you are probably going to need to score 40 plus points, right?
Yeah.
And the most points the Red Roses conceded in the last 6 years was the last World Cup final against the Black Ferns, which was like 36, 38.
Yeah, 38, I would say.
So, chances are, you're probably not going to do that. You're probably not going to score the points required. So your second best chance is to keep the scoreline low and hope you get a few miracle points. You get a few penalties, you get a few, easy tries. You take a couple of your chances, you maybe get an intercept along the way.
Like the Talakai try at the start with the Maul.
Exactly, yeah, which was really well taken.
Yeah.
And if they could have got another one of those, and then maybe G-Fred picks up an intercept somewhere in the second half, and you run it in, and suddenly the game's close, right?
Give it to Caitlin House enough time, she'll score.
So, the way in which they kicked was excellent.
Yeah.
It was maybe the most, complete and accurate kicking display of this World Cup so far from any team. I thought the way in which they looked to put pressure on, not pressure in the air, not pressure in terms of time on Kildun, but just England play with such a light backfield because they can, right? Kildun covers so much ground, she's so good positionally, which is something people don't really talk about an awful lot. And she covers the ground, she gets the ball, and she's pretty good under the high ball, but she rarely gets tested, right? Yeah. So and then she tends to, because she's quick enough, make up enough ground that she can be linking up with Breach or Dow or whoever's on the wing quick enough that they don't need them to be dropped that far back, right? They can be back covering a chip or a grubber or something short, or if they need to chase something back, fine. But England play with pretty much a 14-player main line.
Yeah.
So they just put the ball into the corners on the tram lines, brought Dow and Breach up, and then just stuck it down there the whole time. And it allowed them to just buy so much room.
How good was Fatih Maleka at 10 for Australia? Brilliant. Again, pinning those corners constantly, going for one wide attack to bring those wingers up into the line, because Australia had, Desiree Miller obviously had a few really good runs ball in hand. I think stressed out Dow and Breach when they're looking at the players, and Maya Stewart and Caitlin House at the back. House also is partially responsible for this
House as well,
with the kicking as well, because she's got a huge right boot on her.
Really frustrated me. No one's talking about Maleka's performance.
Yeah,
that was one of the best individual performances of the World Cup so far. It's one of the best I've seen against the Red Roses. Single-handedly, probably knocked about 20 points off the scoreline.
Sure.
Just through her kicking, her game intelligence, her assessing situations and decision making. She was invaluable there. And
generating space in behind.
Commentary wasn't mentioning her. Yeah. It was going the Red Roses haven't covered the backfield, rather than Maleka's put in another outstanding kick.
Yeah. But it was 100% that she would manipulate space and then actually put the ball over there. I thought she was absolutely brilliant. But obviously, the Red Roses then turned this around. And in the second half, they did the thing that they do, which is that they starve the opposition of possession. They go through huge multi-phase moves where they're quicker into shape than their opposition, and they make line breaks off the back of it. They have the most well-drilled forward pack in the universe. And you look at tries such as Kelsey Clifford's second try.
Kelsey Clifford's 2 tries.
Yeah.
Just, such brilliant moments of detail.
Yeah.
Of just knowing inside out which lines to run, which players to hit. In terms of option taking from scrum half, really excellent.
Yeah. Her second try was an outstanding finish that we lauded as we were watching it. There was a really funny interview with her where she was asked about that. And she said, well, I was going to present it back and then I saw the try line, so I put the ball on it. It's fair play.
yeah, that'll do it.
Can't argue with that. That's a pure finishing instinct you've got right there. As well, the early Jess Breach try in the first half, brilliantly played with Zoe Harrison going into kind of the second boot out. I think it's something that England have got so good at, using the likes of Meg Jones and Tatiana Hurd as primary distributors, putting the final pass on Zoe Harrison here, because she's the player in this England team that can execute a pass like that under heaps of pressure. She's world class at this skill. Jess Breach always holds her width on that, scores the try brilliantly with very little pressure put on her.
Yeah.
And again, it was a dominant Red Roses performance that we've seen 1,000 times in the lead up to this World Cup. And the fact that, again, if that's a poor performance and they're still able to keep that level of composure,
and win by 40 points,
it's such a good sign going into the quarterfinals, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, Lou Meadows is one of the most underrated names in rugby at the minute.
Yeah.
The way in which she's prepared a team who are blessed with an awful lot of really great structure and really great patterns they can run, but have the game intelligence to both break them and open them up,
Yeah.
and to just look at the situation and know when to call them and when to break them. And you've got so many of these players that are being called through the likes of Tatiana Hurd rather than necessarily just through Harrison at 10 or Kildun or whoever's at fullback. It is like a completely dynamic, completely open system in which everyone's coming in. They used Breach in the boot to throw a long miss ball as well at one point. So we're seeing them kind of evolve and build their game out a little bit, which I think is, look, it's something they need to do in the last World Cup. They've been doing it steadily for 4 years. But the Red Roses are just excellent, right?
Yeah.
Like, their base level performance is higher than anyone else in the world. Like, any other team, male or female, international level.
Yeah.
Their base level performance is higher.
And with that in mind, to go back to the percentage game that we've played with every Red Roses game so far, I think that I honestly feel more confident on their behalf, even though that was considered a poorer performance. Because it just shows you have to go so far above and beyond to even contemplate rattling them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they managed to pull through that and have such a comprehensive performance at the end tells you everything about what this team is.
This was an Australia team who went all out, built a game plan. Joe Yap is an incredibly smart, intelligent coach.
Yeah.
Came with a game plan that basically will keep the score down so that they can get below the 75-point target they needed to qualify for the quarterfinals, right? That was in the back of the mind. Some may say that's negative, but I think that's probably the only way you kind of can play.
Sure.
And it comes out with a decent scoreline. It's still 40 points in England's advantage, right? And the Red Roses fans are leaving, and likely the Red Roses themselves, going, that was frustrating, that was a difficult game. Australia leaving, going you know what, we did a pretty good job of shutting them down. Obviously not over the moon, but we're pretty pleased. And it's a 40-point margin, right? You're that is a dominant team on a level in which we've scarcely seen in rugby union.
Yeah.
And they've continued it on to the quarterfinals. The point remains, and we'll get into this later in the week when we talk about the quarterfinals and the knockout stages, but the longer this tournament rolls on, the less overwhelmingly confident I am in England as the team that wins it.
Yeah.
I think if this was just a succession of 7 games and can play the same games or 6 games rather, as just 6 standalone games, I think they'd win them all comfortably.
Sure.
With the baggage of a World Cup and knockout stages and that kind of pressure on them, I think that changes it. So I would knock down their percentage we talked about in the Black Ferns Island video, but I still would have them as favourites. Yeah.
Well, we will discuss that further later in the week. But in the meantime, one more game.
Samoa versus the US of the A. The Americans of not American Samoa, they were not involved, unfortunately.
No, but America and Samoa.
Yeah.
They were involved together.
Between them, they could probably lose to Australia by less than 30 goals.
2 teams who are sadly, leaving us from this World Cup now. 2 teams I've enjoyed greatly. I think USA will go out as the best of the rest, won't they? Of the teams that can most feel hard done by, considering they drew with one of the quarterfinalists. I do feel for them a little bit, and they had a really good send-off here. Freda Tafuna, absolutely outstanding.
She's so good.
She's had such a great World Cup in the back row. Finished the try from 40-odd metres out, which is, she's just a hell of an athlete.
This always happens at World Cups, that there are a handful of players who, you know they're there, you know they're decent players, you know they start for their nation, but then you see them play at a World Cup and you go, oh my good Lord, look how good they are. Right? And the USA have had 2 of those, maybe 5 of those players in this World Cup, right? Where I've gone I knew they were a rugby player, I knew their name, but I didn't really know much more than that. And I've gone, you are the greatest rugby player I've ever seen in my life. Sorry to Antoine, my wife. And Tafuna is one of those. Jarrell Cersei in the second row is another one of those.
Yeah.
She is so good.
I can't believe how good she is.
We talked about it last time we talked about the USA, but I am obsessed. I think she's incredible. I think no one has ever put in more of a chance of being team of the year after 3 games. And I think if they're making quarterfinals, maybe she'd be pushing for that.
Oh, they should let her play a quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Just for a random nation.
Just let her play on her own. She could probably do it.
Honestly, she's incredible. She
can do everything.
Took her try in this game brilliantly.
Took a try brilliantly, made a brilliant turnover. What more can you ask from a second row? Line out, I won't say perfect because I haven't checked the statistics, but line out excellent, maul excellent, clears out rucks, carries, tackles, covers so much ground. She's the perfect second row.
Yeah.
She is in a team of the pool stage for me, undoubtedly.
I
She's 100% nailed into that team.
She scored in every single game of the group stage as well.
She's been phenomenal.
She deserves
been absolutely
better.
Sensational.
Yeah, she deserves to get out of this group. Sadly not to be for her.
And it's going to be so gutting when we never have to put Eben Etzebeth in over in the team of the year. I mean, what? Just because you played 50 games and won all of them?
Yeah, shut up. Anyway,
he won all of them.
Hope Rogers,
Yep.
absolutely brilliant as always. Just she can carry, man.
The sheer dynamism of her, the sheer ability of like getting up and carrying twice, you know, in a set, getting herself back involved, and the USA again smartly just lining her up with the right players and using her properly.
The second try she scored, brilliant. The way that they used the old Tony Woodcock move from the 2011 World Cup final. And what I really like is the detail in this, the way that they swap the 2 second rowers into each other's lifting pod, and they lift them both. So Samoa look at both second rows and go, oh, they're moving about, one of them's going to jump, and lift both of their towers, sending Hope Rogers through that gap in the middle. It's brilliantly worked, great bit of detail.
Instead of popping the ball down, instead of throwing it down, she just drops it.
Yeah.
Just lets go, right? And so it falls into place. And there is no trigger for Samoa to go, okay, it's going to Rogers. Like, Rogers is just running this line casually, but your eye's always on the ball in rugby union, right?
Yeah.
Like, always to some degree. So when that ball is in the hand there, you are watching that and you're waiting for the wrists to move. So you drop it down, instead, bam, no, just let go with the wrists, just let go of the fingers.
And like, you don't have to look at Hope Rogers at that point. You can just do like the kind of eyes out the back and just kind of let the ball go like that. It's brilliant. So well worked. And yeah, one of many, many great moments for Hope Rogers in this game.
Yeah. The USA now depart, which is sad.
It is.
They have been great value. They've been very good. They exposed an England weakness in round 1. They played out the game of the year in round 2. And then I thought they were enormous fun this week.
Yeah.
The goal kicking was a bit of a concern.
Sure.
I had Mackenzie Hawkins in my fantasy team and she scored -2 points because she was constantly being docked for failing to hit goals. They needed to rack up as many points as possible, and not having a goal kicker was a huge problem for that.
Except when Gabby Cantona stepped up, she kicked really, really well.
Yeah.
So it makes you think they probably should have had her kicking from the start. But
it really does.
Yeah.
It was too important to gamble on Hawkins because she's been a front-rank kicker for a while.
Yeah.
That's 2 games in a row where I think it's really cost them.
I agree. Yeah.
Keep Mackenzie Hawkins as your goal kicker, who was excellent as well.
She was.
Like, I think a lot of people have only talked about the fact that she's a not very good line kicker and her goal kicking percentage has been lower than you'd expect.
But as a fly half,
like, as a fly half, exceptional. She was really good at everything else. Her pass selection is exceptional, pretty much always. And then you've got the other, the other backline players. What's her name? The 13.
silly moment.
Good game again.
Yeah, she played well, offloaded very well.
Yeah. Enjoyed them just using on shorter lines. Still wish we were getting more of in that 13 channel like we saw against England of just like crashing it up, smashing over the line.
Yeah.
She didn't get the try that World Rugby have been desperate for to show on their socials every single day for the rest of the time.
Every touch she's had of the ball, they've just been like, brilliant, let's clip that up, let's make it the thumbnail, let's do absolutely everything we can.
They put up the anthem as like Alona Mar blasts out American anthem with passion and pride. And I genuinely don't think anyone cares enough to listen to that. But hey,
they have over-egged that a little bit.
She's been a great addition
very
to the World
good.
Cup.
Yeah.
It's been boosted by the fact she's played incredibly well. Where like
Yes.
in Pac 4, there's a lot of criticism of her, and her learning that position, she has nailed it in. She's been great fun. She's added a lot of value. So I've greatly enjoyed her, and just wanted to give her a mention.
And hopefully they can use her a little bit better going forwards, so they can use it as a carrier.
I suspect they're not going to have her going forwards.
Yeah,
I
that's
suspect
also
it'll be
a possibility.
Hollywood trying to use her going forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
But regardless, I wish her the best of luck.
Yeah.
But
likewise to Alice Kelter when she ends up in a Marvel movie in 2 years' time.
Yes, indeed. Also, Erica Koulibaly on the left wing.
Yes.
I thought was brilliant. Came in, took a try brilliantly, and had a few really, really good runs. They've got so many just great wing options. Like, we've not seen Matai Tonga since the first game.
Wingers in and out constantly.
Yeah.
No, I thought Koulibaly was just like really good at that thing, right? Where someone dives at her legs just as she's catching the ball, and somehow she just kind of skips out the tackle.
Yeah.
Very good skipper out of a tackle. And it's a real skill.
Yeah.
And just very, very strong at it. Took a try incredibly well in the first half.
I do want to talk about Samoa.
Yes.
Because
this is
again,
what we're building up to, right?
they came away with 3 points here, which is great. Coming away with 3 points is a result in itself. Obviously, all being amateur players, as we've talked about before.
Gutted they couldn't get a try.
Yeah.
Gutted they couldn't get a try.
Mostly gutted for Gloria Iono, our favourite player. Just every time she got the ball and trundled over the gain line, I'm just obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Like, she's got an 8-month-old kid, and she's just out here just strutting about, and she's just been brilliant. She's had such a good World Cup, and I just think she's not been talked about enough because of the team she plays for, and the fact that obviously she's been on the end of some difficult results. As you say, such a shame that they couldn't get a try. But I think she's been one of the success stories at this World Cup.
Them using her. Also, you had Hope versus Glory on that side of the scrum, which always great. The battle between Hope and Glory.
Yeah, I hope Bruce Springsteen was watching that game with his notebook out and just like, this is inspiring something.
But again, their use of Glory Iono, like as the primary carry-off line-out, I continue to love watching.
Yeah.
This Samoa team has some really good passes with the ball. I think they've got better game on game. Yeah. And it's a shame that they don't have a fourth game because I think that's where they were really pushing on. Yeah. Like, I don't really like the 8v9 type playoffs, right? But I kind of do want them to find a way to just give, like, I want Samoa to have a game against, like, Brazil next week.
Let them have a warm-up game before a quarter-final.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a double-header.
Put it on the Friday night.
Yeah.
Play it in York because they seem to love it in York.
Yeah.
They'll get 3,000 people there easy. And just
We'll
see
go.
if we'll go. Tell you what, come and play in the office. If Brazil and Samoa are still in the country, come and play it in this studio.
Hell yeah.
And we will personally pay you £6 each.
Yes.
To play in the game.
Yeah.
But
as well for Samoa.
I don't know, this Samoan team just like with the ball they've got more and more confident, and this team looks so like night and day better than they did in that first half against Australia. They grew over the course of that game, and then by that last half against the USA, you genuinely thought they were going to score against Australia.
I'm really going to miss them. I'm really going to miss them.
Me too.
Again, Harmony Vatau, I really enjoyed. She moved to 12 in this game, and like she's really stepped up in the absence of Kasi Siatonga.
Quite safely been their best player in this tournament.
Yeah,
like she's been the player who you look at and go, oh, she's kind of a cut above. She kind of like, you can tell she's been playing in New Zealand. You can tell she's kind of got a lot of experience, you know, and kind of. She's the one player I look at and I go like, oh, she could have got a couple of black fern caps.
I mean, there's two other players that I would raise as their two best players. Asa Afui at 9 has been unreal for them. And I think the one that I look at and go, you're a cut above, is Sui Pararaisha.
Captain. I jumped the gun there.
Yeah. There's three or four brilliant players that they've had who've really, really stood out. And shame they've not managed to get Joanna Fanaliko more involved because I think she's such a talent. But she's been out on the wing playing against some really hard pressing defences. So it's a bit of a thankless task at times.
But really should have against Australia.
Yeah.
And then hasn't had much ball in the subsequent games. Got a couple of moments at the weekend where I thought she like had a couple of decent runs, but it's tricky, isn't it, when they're not seeing much ball, when the USA is so in kill mode, and so like we need to run up the biggest score we ever had. Then the pressure becomes different. But this Samoan team has been so much fun to watch. They've been so great. Now I want to give him his proper title. I forget the first word, but Ramsey Tomofino, obviously, who's a Samoan High Chief, and there is a proper title you're supposed to give before him in the same way you give a sir to like a certain coach that won a World Cup with England in 2003 that I won't name because I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And but like what a brilliant coach he's clearly been, how much he's fought for his players.
I love him to bits.
Yeah.
Ramsey Tomofino.
And I'm so excited for him to have a higher up role in Samoan rugby and have a chance to potentially make a change because
that's a beautiful
if this team can come into the next World Cup with something more akin to the preparation the men are getting, which the men are still being underprepared and not getting much time together before a World Cup, but at least they are getting money and time together and some resources. Yeah. So if we can allow that, if we can potentially allow, if the Celtic Challenge starts to grow, and you have some more slots open for professional teams to come and sign for size over abroad, potentially we might see the PWR expand over the next few years. I know there's been conversations about that over the last few years. And again, talk of, and another thing that's being discussed, I don't know whether it's happening at like high up levels or just something people are wanting, the Super W and Super Rugby Aupiki to kind of unite and become one Super Rugby Pacific League a la the men's game, which, look, there's a lot about men's rugby that I don't think they should be following the example of, but having a short season that is cross-continental and you then have a bigger roster of professional players that are playing a higher intensity, I think we're really good. Yeah. And I want chance of these Samoan players to be playing in, if not, Europe, then to be getting those chances in New Zealand, because at the minute, like the FPC clubs and the Super Rugby Aupiki clubs in particular have a limit of 2 non-Black Fern qualified players in their squad. So a lot of them are stuck playing second division in the FPC. Yeah. So, which still has some limits on non-Kiwi players. So really hopeful that they get more opportunities in the next few years.
The talent pool there is huge, and I've loved watching them.
Yeah.
I really, really miss them. As you say, it's brilliant that Ramsey Tomakino is still going to be involved. It's not the last that we will have heard of him. But I'm really excited to see if we can get more of this, because they've been completely amateur at this World Cup. And a lot of them will be on their way home to go back to their jobs and won't play rugby for a while again. Certainly not rugby of a high standard again for a long while. Like, talking of the USA as well, like Lottie Sharp's gone back into her job as a primary school teacher on Monday.
She was back in beforehand.
Yeah.
She did a day in the classroom on her day off from the squad while Lunamar was at Spa.
Yeah.
Like, she went back into the classroom.
Yeah, exactly. So that is the reality of this World Cup for a lot of players. And that's, you know, there are certain players in the squad who have quit their jobs to come and play here. And just like, I just take my hat off to those players so much, because they've provided us with entertainment, and it's not gone unnoticed.
And this Fiji team, this Samoan team have both been so much fun. I hope this Fijian team kind of shows the Samoan side, like, what's possible, right?
Yeah.
Like, Fiji they performed slightly better than Samoa the last World Cup, but like, they were still the underdogs who were broadly, you know, they're competitive with a South Africa team that wasn't the team we're seeing this year. And yeah, won that game. But the Fijian team was blown away 4 years ago, and then 3 years ago, and then they arrive at this World Cup, and suddenly are able to beat Wales and compete with Scotland and be a lot more fun and a lot more open. And I hope this Samoan team grows in the same way in 3 years' time. And I'd love to see, right? Do you know which country has the highest percentage of their population, their female population, as registered rugby players?
Is it Samoa?
It's Tonga.
Tonga?
I think it's something ridiculous, like 1 in 15, 1 in 12 women in Tonga plays rugby. So the fact that basically they're not getting support, they're not getting funding, because there's a really high up in their union who says that women shouldn't play rugby. And if that one guy can be or something, if that one guy can just be like taken out and left in an alleyway where he just lives the rest of his life, and we can hopefully see some investment there, or more likely, right? This Samoan team has caused such an outpouring of love and such an outpouring of devotion, and so many people have really enjoyed them. Hopefully there are people at the Tonga Rugby Union looking at this and going, okay, we should be getting on board there.
Yeah, this is the future.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a lot of teams, it's the present.
Yeah. I also think we're not that far off expanding this World Cup to 20 teams.
I'd like to see it. I want these teams to get one more game, one more round of group play. And it means we can have games on weekdays and stuff as well. And we can live World Cup fever all week round.
Replicate the men's format from the past few years to, which obviously changing, going to 24 soon, but just replicate that, right? Yeah. Bring in Colombia, bring in Tonga, bring in, I'm sure I'm missing some incredible countries. Sweden, yeah.
Kazakhstan, I
was going to mention, like, I'm not sure where Kazakhstan are at. Annie Ekaleva's still their head coach.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they can come back in, it'll be great fun.
It would.
But I don't see why not. Right. Rugby Union. That is the Saturday games.
Yes.
Covered, done, dusted, sealed, delivered.
We'll be back soon with more games. Oh, we've not done Wales Fiji, but that's getting its own video.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get to sulk one more time.